Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Chapter 31. Supreme Kai, what? Are you from Earth? Supreme Kai Asen raised his eyebrows slightly. The child floating in the universe in front of him doesn't seem to know who the two of them are. Otherwise, you should not dare to speak to the top gods in the universe in such a tone. Hey boy, do you know who is standing in front of you? He actually spoke to us in such a tone. Jupiter's eyes widened instantly. This little guy dared to be so arrogant in front of Supreme Kai. With a height of 2 meters and this expression, it is indeed enough to bluff. Forget about Jabit, he's just a child and doesn't know our identities. Supreme Kai reminded Jebit Dao. Those who don't know are not guilty. How could I not know you? Aren't you the East King Kai? Aren't you his bodyguard Jebit? Okay, take me out of this place quickly. I really don't want to stay here anymore. Son Goten glanced at the two of them, then said quickly. Although these two guys look very imposing. And when playing in Dragon Balls, it is also full of style. But handsome for only 3 seconds, a Demon King Dabra almost scared the two of them to pee. After Majin Buu broke the seal, he almost frightened Supreme Kai to death. To be honest, as a top god in the universe, it is indeed embarrassing enough. What? Hearing that Son Goten revealed their identities so calmly, Supreme Kai and Jebit were shocked. A mere kid wandering around in the universe would know the existence of Supreme Kai. And it seems that they know both of them completely, which really makes them feel incredible. How do you know? Supreme Kai Asen looks at Son Goten in disbelief. You must know that among human beings, not many know the existence of Supreme Kai. But this child is so clear, it is unusual. There's so much more I know. Can you take me out of here quickly? What do you want to ask after you leave here and let me eat something? Son Goten continued to speak impatiently. Supreme Kai Asen immediately began reading Son Goten's message with mind reading. But unfortunately, he couldn't use mind reading to know what was going on in Son Goten's mind. Even more unable to read any of his information. This makes Supreme Kai Asen even more unbelievable. Mind reading is Supreme Kai's special ability. It's really weird that he can't read any information about the kid in front of him. This kind of thing has never happened before. Boy, since you know that standing in front of you is Supreme Kai, the highest in the universe, you should pay attention to your tone of voice. When speaking to Lord Supreme Kai, maintain due respect. Just when Supreme Kai Asen was very surprised why he couldn't read Son Goten's mind. Jabiter on the side said to Son Goten with a serious face. Since the kid from before knew that Supreme Kai was in front of him, it was really unreasonable to use such a tone. Seeing Jebit's serious expression, Son Goten's face also changed slightly. Then the body suddenly flashed, and appeared behind the two of them like a ghost. With both hands on their shoulders, a faint tone sounded from behind. Hey, I've been wandering in this boring universe for a whole week, and I'm a little irritable now, please don't force me to beat you. Hearing the voice behind them, the two were shocked. His forehead also broke out in cold sweat instantly. At that moment just now, they didn't see clearly how the child appeared behind them. This speed is too fast. The two looked at each other, and they could see the shock in each other's eyes. Master Jia, Supreme Kai, this guy is definitely not an ordinary kid. Jebit spoke to Supreme Kai through a special sound transmission method. Yes, his strength is very strong, perhaps surpassing ours. Supreme Kai also replied to Jebit immediately. Then what do we do now? Take him to the God realm. In this way, we may be able to find out his details. The two communicated through sound transmission. Eventually Supreme Kai intends to bring Son Goten to the Supreme Kai world first. He felt that Son Goten seemed harmless, and there was no evil energy in his body. A human child actually surpassed them in strength, which really made him unbelievable. So he was very curious about who this kid was. If you bring him to the Supreme Kai world, maybe this problem will be clarified. Jebit nodded. Immediately after that, instant transmission was cast. Whoosh! The bodies of the 3 people faltered for a moment, and then disappeared in place in an instant. When it appeared again, it had already arrived at an emerald green planet. At first glance, there are verdant vegetation. This planet is very similar to the Earth. Supreme Kai world. Son Goten looked around and immediately recognized this place as the Supreme Kai realm. Because Supreme Kai has appeared several times in both Dragon Balls and Dragon Ball Super. Okay, Now can you tell me who you are? Why are you wandering the universe? Also, where are you from? After returning to the Supreme Kai world, Supreme Kai Asen turned his head, looked at Sun Goten and asked. Certainly. By the way, I'm very hungry now, can you ask him to get me something to eat first? Sun Goten pointed to Jebet and said. Jebet's face darkened immediately. He is Lord Supreme Kai's bodyguard. Now he is actually asked to help a human being prepare food, which is really outrageous. What's even more outrageous is that Supreme Kai Asen nodded, and then said to Jebet, Jetbit, go get some food. Jabet. Although he was very upset, he must follow Supreme Kai's orders. While Jebet was preparing the food, Sun Goten also introduced himself. Although he has the strength far beyond Supreme Kai and Jebet. After all, this guy in front of him is also the most cutting-edge voice in this universe. It's a little timid, but at least the heart is still very good. My name is Sun Goten, from Earth in the Northern Galaxy. As for why you are wandering in the universe, Sun Goten didn't hide anything, and told the story of killing Brawley himself. It's no secret at all, so there's nothing to hide. What, are you from Earth? Supreme Kai Asen was stunned. The Earth of the Northern Galaxy. Isn't that the planet where I hide the sealed Majin Buu magic egg? And the legendary Super Saiyan Brawley is likely to be the culprit who caused the destruction of countless planets in the Southern Galaxy. Chapter 32. Mr. Goten, in that case, thank you very much for taking care of that Brawley. Save hundreds of millions of living beings in the Southern Galaxy from extinction. I thank you for the survivors of the Southern Galaxy. After listening to Sun Goten's introduction, Supreme Kai immediately lowered his posture and expressed his gratitude to Sun Goten. And the address has also become Mr. In this society where strength is respected, strength can represent everything. Although he is the most cutting-edge Supreme Kai in the universe. But his strength is very average, so naturally we must maintain a certain amount of respect for this kind of strong man who has helped the universe. You should really thank me, after all, this is what Supreme Kai is supposed to do. Sun Goten was not polite to him and said directly. Otherwise, according to the strength of Supreme Kai and Jebet, it is estimated that even if the two of them fit together, it is not enough for Brawley to fight. At this time, Jebet also served a few dishes. Strange in shape, it looks no different from those beasts in Baozi Mountain. Sun Goten finished quickly, although the taste was poor. But after starving for a full week in the universe, he's not that picky anymore. The taste is average, but full. After wiping out all the dishes on the table, Sun Goten touched his stomach and said. Compared with my mother's craftsmanship, it's a world of difference. And these words made Jebet's face darken even more. Mr. Goten, is there something I don't know whether to say or not? After Sun Goten finished eating, Supreme Kai Asen leaned over and said awkwardly. In fact, Majin Buu has always been his confidant. It can even be said that in the depths of his heart, it is like a nightmare. If Majin Buu breaks the seal, based on his and Jebet's strength, he will definitely be killed in an instant. And even Babidi, the magician, has some powerful evil fighters under him. He and Jebet are also not sure of victory. The Sun Goten in front of him obviously has more power than them. If you can get his help, maybe you can kill Babidi and let Majin Buu continue to seal. Eat people's mouths are soft, tell me what's the matter. Sun Goten wiped his mouth and said. It's like this. Tens of thousands of years ago, a demon with terrifying strength was born in the universe. His appearance instantly turned hundreds of thousands of planets into Death Stars. Later, our 5 Supreme Kais went to solve Majin Buu together, but it was a pity that Majin Buu was too strong, and finally the other 4 Supreme Kais were killed by Majin Buu. Supreme Kai Asen started Ula Ula with an introduction pass. These words are the same as what they said to Son Goku and Vegeta back then. The ultimate meaning is that the son of the magician Babidi had a son named Babidi. He also has magic that can awaken Majin Buu. But he has a group of controlled evil Deadpool by his side, so he hopes to get Sun Goten's help. Only in this way can Babidi be solved without any risk of failure, so that Majin Buu can continue to be sealed. Understood. You mean you want me to help you kill the magician Babidi and his puppets? Sun Goten nodded and said. In fact, with his current strength, he can easily get rid of the demon Lord Dabra. If Majin Buu, he still hopes to show up. Because Majin Buu's super regeneration ability is a very good thing. Yes, That's what I mean. Supreme Kai Asen nodded quickly. Then he stared at Sun Goten intently, waiting for his answer. If they can get the help of Sun Goten, then it is absolutely no problem to continue to seal Majin Buu. I can promise you, I can even help you get rid of Majin Buu completely. But I have one condition. Sun Goten nodded, looked at the two and said. What condition? Supreme Kai asked quickly. It's very simple for you, you just need to fight with me once. Regardless of victory or defeat, I will agree to your previous request. Sun Goten said with a faint smile. Although the strength of the two guys in front of them is indeed average, it can even be said to be weak. But Jebet has two very good superpowers. That is the divine skill instant transmission and healing. If you can pick up these two abilities in battle, it will be very good. If you master instant transmission, there will be no such thing as being trapped in the universe in the future. That's all. When, of course, hearing that the conditions put forward by Sun Goten were so simple, Supreme Kai Asen suddenly looked skeptical. Then immediately nodded firmly. Then it's not too late, let's get started. Sun Goten said impatiently, because he still has Xuanchao bloodline and no fusion. The Supreme Kai world is a very safe place, where you can rest assured to pass on the blood of fusion. Okay, then offend. Supreme Kai Asen also nodded quickly. Then he took a fighting stance. Cut. This kid, forget about it. He actually wants to challenge the two of us. I don't take God too seriously. Jebet was quite unconvinced. Just a human being, he doesn't think he can defeat the combination of himself and Supreme Kai. Bring it on. Sun Goten nodded. The expression was very flat, and it instantly changed into the form of Super Saiyan. Now he has fully mastered the transformation of Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2. So there is no need to transform by roaring at all. The two also rushed over quickly. Jebet put all his energy into feeding. Both speed and strength were brought to the extreme. Hundreds of punches were thrown, but Sun Goten was never hit. Not even touching his clothes. The same goes for Supreme Kai Asen. Good. So terrifying strength. This kid didn't move at all, and he was able to avoid all attacks from me and Lord Supreme Kai. In this case, use instant transmission. I'd like to see if you're faster than instant transmission. While shocked, Jebet also secretly made up his mind. Immediately afterwards instant transmission was used. For a moment, countless afterimages of Jebet appeared around Sun Goten's body. Swish swish swish. Fist shadows are like the wind, covering the sky and covering the earth. But still can't hit Sun Goten. Open black lens bracket ding. Congratulations to the host for picking up the divine skill instant transmission. Open black lens bracket ding. Congratulations to the host for picking up the god skill healing. ... Just after the boring battle lasted for 4 or 5 minutes, the electronic synthesis sound of the system rang in his mind. Sun Goten's face suddenly showed joy. It seems that this system is really awesome. The probability of picking up attributes is very high. Chapter 33. What a terrifying strength. Maybe Mr. Goten's strength can defeat Majin Buu. It seems that Babidi can be completely eliminated this time and prevent Majin Buu from waking up. Although he didn't touch Sun Goten's body from beginning to end, Supreme Kai Asen was very excited. Because he finally saw the power of Sun Goten. And his intuition told him that Sun Goten must not have exerted his full strength at this time. It is incredible that a human being can possess such a powerful force. What's more, he has been Supreme Kai for so long and didn't realize that there are such powerful fighters in the universe. Okay, that's it for now. After hearing the electronically synthesized sound in his head, Sun Goten's goal has been achieved. This kind of boring battle naturally lost interest. Clenching his fist slightly, a terrifying puff of smoke erupted from his body instantly. The powerful air wave instantly spread in all directions with Sun Goten as the center. The bodies of Supreme Kai Asen and Jebet were also directly sent flying. The two retreated a distance of tens of feet before they came to a steady stop. I was even more shocked by Sun Goten's power. Just the burst of breath shook them out of such a long distance. More importantly, they all know that Sun Goten is not using his full strength at all. It's great. This kind of power is really great. Supreme Kai Asen is even more excited. And Jebet, who was originally unconvinced, was also convinced at this time. Although the previous Sun Gohan seemed arrogant, but he now understands that Sun Goten does have arrogant capital. At such a young age, he can surpass the strength of Supreme Kai, who cannot be arrogant. Besides, the younger you are, the more frivolous you are. After knocking the two off with ease, Son Goten also exited Super Saiyan form. Mr. Goten, are you really too strong? When are we going to Earth? Supreme Kai hurried over and asked excitedly. With the help of Mr. Goten, he can definitely get rid of the magician Babidi easily. In a few days. Your place is relatively quiet. I want to continue practicing for a few days. This may be safer. Son Goten replied. In fact, he wants to complete the fusion of super blood here. Okay. Indeed, in order to ensure the occurrence of accidents, it is necessary to improve the strength. Supreme Kai Asen nodded again and again. The stronger Son Goten becomes, the higher the chance of success in sealing Majin Buu. More importantly, even if there are some unexpected situations in the middle, it can be dealt with. By the way, I don't want to be disturbed in my next training. And the movement may be a bit loud, so you'd better stay away from me. After Son Goten finished speaking, his body jumped and appeared on top of a mountain in an instant. Then sit cross-legged, started to communicate with the system with ideas. System, Fusion's legendary Super Saiyan bloodline. Open black lens bracket good host close black lens bracket. The host, please get ready, fusion will start in 10 seconds. Open black lens bracket countdown begins close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket 9, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket 8, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket 1, close black lens bracket. The moment the countdown ended, a heart-piercing pain instantly spread throughout the body. It was as if an incomparably terrifying force was swimming through every inch of skin in the body. And the normal Saiyan genes in the body began to be quickly replaced, changed. Giggle. Son Goten clenched his fists tightly and frowned. Instant sweat, pain, heart-piercing pain, but he knew that this pain was to make him stronger. As time passed by, Son Goten could feel his genes being changed little by little. Flesh and limbs are undergoing a process of being reshaped. This heart-piercing pain lasted for about 20 minutes. Then it started to slow down gradually. The energy flowing in the body also weakened a little bit. However, the strength in the body has increased by an unknown number of times. Haha. At this moment, Son Goten suddenly opened his eyes, and the low growl began to echo throughout the god realm. Rustle. At the same time, grass-green spray-like gas flames instantly rose around the body. Waves of air swept in all directions. Rumble. The entire Supreme Kai world began to tremble crazily. The surrounding mountains began to collapse rapidly, and it felt like the entire god realm was facing doomsday. Supreme Kai Asen and Jebet quickly put their arms in front of them. But the body began to retreat uncontrollably. There were 2 clear marks on the ground. Good. What a terrifying power. Is this Mr. Goten's real power? It's unbelievable, so strong. Supreme Kai Asen's heart was churning with turbulent waves. He never dreamed that there is actually a human being in the universe who can increase his power to this level. With this kind of power, the two have surpassed the original 4 Supreme Kai. Maybe Mr. Goten's power is not weaker than Majin Buu's now. Of course, he was young thousands of years ago, so he didn't know how strong Majin Buu's true power was. Indeed, it's too scary. It's really unimaginable that such a powerful force is possessed by a human being. Jebet also said in shock. With this kind of power, it is estimated that even if Majin Buu breaks the seal, he can solve it. Rumble. This violent shaking lasted for a minute, and then began to weaken slowly. The hurricane began to dissipate little by little. The ground gradually began to return to calm. And the arrogance around Son Goten is not as violent as before. Open black lens bracket ding. Congratulations to the host, the legendary Super Saiyan bloodline fusion successfully. At the same time, the electronic synthesis sound of the system also rang in his mind. Did you make it? Is this the feeling of passing on the bloodline? The power is so strong that it is almost overflowing. This feeling is so comfortable. Clenching his fist, the power in his body seemed to be gushing out, and Son Goten's excited body was trembling. One can imagine how terrifying this power will be after becoming a Super Saiyan. Sure enough, in this world, blood is the eternal truth. Chapter 34. And Son Goten can clearly feel that after fusion has the blood of the legendary Super Saiyan, it's not just ridiculously strong. Even the strength of the body has completely undergone a qualitative change. It's no wonder that in the theatrical version, Xuanchao Brawley can resist Son Goku's Kamehameha wave with his face and remain unscathed. At this moment, Son Goten's aura has completely calmed down. Supreme Kai Asin and Jebet couldn't wait to fly directly in front of Son Goten. The eyes of the two of them flashed with incomparable excitement. At the same time, it also contains envy and admiration. The power released by Son Goten just now may be a height that they will never be able to reach in their lifetime. Enlightenment. Mr. Goten, the strength just now is your true strength. It's unbelievable. I never dreamed that a human being could have such a powerful force. Jebet looked at Son Goten with admiration and envy, and said excitedly. This expression and posture didn't match his rough appearance at all. Mr. Goten, you are so strong. The power just now, it is estimated that even Majin Buu can be wiped out. Supreme Kai also clenched his fists, happily like a child. Just now, it shouldn't be my real strength. And this power is not enough to eliminate Majin Buu. Son Goten shook his head, looked at the excited two and said. Although fusion has the blood of the legendary Super Saiyan, his basic strength has become very strong. But it is still impossible to completely destroy Majin Buu. After all, Majin Buu's super regeneration ability is still very terrifying. As long as one cell is not destroyed, it can recover again. And after the original Buu recovers, his aura will not weaken in any way. This thing is like brown sugar, it is indeed very difficult to deal with. Hiss. What, you mean, the ridiculously strong aura just now, isn't your real strength? Seeing Son Goten's serious expression, Supreme Kai Asin and Jebet were completely dumbfounded. The breath just now was simply unimaginable for them. It is estimated that even if they train for another 1,000,000 years, they may not be able to reach that level. But I didn't expect that it was not Son Goten's real strength. What's more, Son Goten is just a kid. How strong will he become if given enough time to grow? Thinking about it makes me tremble. Son Goten nodded. He wants to feel how strong fusion is in the form of Super Saiyan after he has blood. And God Realm is the most ideal place. If it is on the earth, if it goes berserk or cannot control its own energy, it may cause a devastating blow to the earth. But the words of God Realm are different. Even if the entire God Realm is destroyed, at least Supreme Kai and Jebet can use instant transmission to leave. At worst, it will be good to rebuild it when the time comes. Gulu, then can you show your full strength? Swallowing hard, Supreme Kai Asin asked curiously. The strength Son Goten showed just now was enough to shock them. Now he wants to see how strong Son Goten will be after he unleashes his full strength. I'm also curious, what kind of level can the strongest fighter in this universe achieve? Jebet also stared at Son Goten expectantly. In his heart, Son Goten has become the most powerful warrior in the universe. Okay, since the two of you are so interested, let's take a look. Son Goten raised a faint smile at the corner of his mouth, and said to the two of them. But Supreme Kai Asin always feels that this smile is so weird. It always feels like something bad is going to happen. By the way, I still can't fully control the next power, so you'd better stay a little far away. Son Goten turned his head, with an innocent smile on his face, and kindly reminded the two of them. Hearing this, the pupils of Supreme Kai Asin and Jebet shrank suddenly. Then he looked at Son Goten with wide eyes. Supreme Kai Asin suddenly realized, I just said why I felt uneasy just now. After a moment of surprise and bewilderment, Jebet hurriedly pulled Supreme Kai for an instant transmission, which appeared thousands of feet away. Then hid behind a mountain peak. But it always feels like it's not safe enough. Supreme Kai Asin quickly moved his mind, and an energy barrier appeared around the two of them. This made me feel more at ease. Seeing that the two retreated 1,000 feet away, Son Goten also began to prepare to transform. Then let me experience the legendary Super Saiyan form. After the voice fell, he clenched his fists violently. His eyes instantly became extremely firm. Ha ha. In the next second, a deep roar came from his throat. Hum rumble. The ground suddenly began to shake violently. The gravel on the ground floated directly in midair. The air waves under his feet began to spread rapidly like a tornado. An overwhelming aura instantly filled the entire Supreme Kai world, and then began to spread rapidly towards the surroundings. Rumble. The deafening sound of collapse sounded one after another, and the surrounding mountain peaks continued to collapse under the terrifying air waves. At this time, Son Goten's aura continued to increase sharply, but that aura was very irritable. God. Oh my God. Is this kid a monster? What kind of aura is this? The entire God realm is filled. Supreme Kai Asen is completely dumbfounded. He had never felt this kind of breath before, it was as unfathomable as an abyss. Jupiter had already opened his mouth in a daze, completely shocked and speechless. I didn't expect to see such a super powerful warrior in my lifetime. And in the shocked eyes of the two, Son Goten began to change. The black hair was suddenly bundled up high, and the grass-green energy around the body became more and more surging, appearing like a jet. The black eyeballs suddenly disappeared and became hollow and pale. Swish. In the next second, the black hair turned directly into grass green in an instant. At this moment, the atmosphere has once again discovered an earth-shaking change. At this time, Son Goten's anger has obviously surpassed that of Brawly. Roar. A beastly roar emanated from Son Goten's throat. At this time, it is like a wild beast that is completely out of control. The breath is constantly expanding. The martial arts uniform on the upper body has been completely torn, and it is much more burly than when it became Super Saiyan. The blue veins on his face are wriggling like little snakes. Impressively, at this time Son Goten turned into the legendary Super Saiyan form. Chapter 35. Son Goten opened his arms and slowly floated in midair. Rustle. Circles of terrifying air waves continuously spread towards the surroundings. The ground collapsed in circles, and the huge semicircular Tianqing reached hundreds of feet. At this time, Son Goten, although his expression seemed to have regained his composure. But his eyes were still empty, and the eyeballs had completely disappeared. Paired with the grass-green light radiating from his whole body, he does look a bit similar to Brawly. At this time, Supreme Kai Asen and Jebet, who were hiding thousands of feet away, were already sweating profusely from fright. The breath just now was really terrifying. Even if they were gods, they all felt a great sense of oppression. The two of them have never felt this kind of oppression. Even the previous Majin Buu didn't seem to have such a strong aura. Master Supreme Kai, Son Goten's eyeballs disappeared. Did he lose control? If this is the case, the two of us will most likely be killed here. Jebet was trembling with fear and said, "It would be too shameful for the supreme god in the universe to be killed in his own god realm. The most important thing is that if Supreme Kai is killed, the world will be in chaos. Mr. Goten should be able to control this energy." Supreme Kai Asen said uncertainly. After all, Son Goten has said it before, and he can't guarantee whether he can control the energy after transformation. And the disappearance of the eyeballs at this time made them very scared. While the two were talking, the figure of Son Goten had appeared in front of them like a ghost. What? Supreme Kai and Jupiter were stunned for a moment. Master Supreme Kai, you don't have to be so afraid, I am not out of control. Son Goten raised a smile at the corner of his mouth, and then said to the two. Right after his voice fell, eyeballs slowly emerged from his empty and pale eyes. It's just that the eyeballs at this time are no longer black as before, nor are they light green after Super Saiyan. Instead, it turned into golden pupils. It's clear that Son Goten hasn't lost his mind after Fusion's fabled Super Saiyan bloodline. Nor does it turn into a tool that only destroys and kills like Brawly. Instead, he can easily control his own reason. This may have something to do with the system. That's really great. It really scared us to death just now. After seeing Son Goten's eyes return to normal, Supreme Kai and Jebet finally breathed a sigh of relief. At this time they can also feel that Son Goten has returned to normal. His pupils recovered, and the irritable energy in his body began to calm down a little bit. This power is really ridiculously strong. It's much stronger than Super Saiyan 2. It's not even comparable. Gently clenched his fist, looked at his strong body, Son Goten said lightly. He felt that this form completely surpassed Super Saiyan 3, and he could easily rub Majin Buu on the ground. And if you want to destroy Majin Buu, the divine power of Ultra Instinct can definitely do it. After feeling the powerful force in his body, Son Goten also withdrew from Xuanchao's transformation. By the way, Mr. Goten, you are so powerful, I want to give you a gift. Presumably in this world, only you are worthy of using that thing. After seeing Sun Goten change back to his normal form, Supreme Kai Asen hurriedly spoke. Master Supreme Kai, are you talking about the Supreme Kai sword? Jebet asked quickly. There aren't many good things in the Supreme Kai world. There are not many that can be matched with Sun Goten. The treasure of the Supreme Kai world, besides the space-time ring, is the Supreme Kai sword. The space-time ring can only be used by Supreme Kai, and it must not be given away casually. That Excalibur had been in the Supreme Kai world for a long time, and it was so heavy that the two of them couldn't pick it up at all. Therefore, putting it in the God realm is also idle. If it is given to Sun Goten, it may be able to display the true value of the Excalibur. Yes, the Supreme Kai sword. Both of us can't handle it anyway, and Mr. Goten has agreed to help us with Majin Buu. The Excalibur is even more powerful in the hands of Mr. Goten. Supreme Kai Asen nodded. Rather than giving it to Sun Goten, it is better to let Sun Goten's swords completely eliminate Majin Buu. You were right, just in the God realm, it really doesn't have much effect. Jebet also echoed. After all, neither of them can hold it. Each of the previous Supreme Kais used the Excalibur as a weapon. It's also a good time for the sword to be given to the hero. Is it the Supreme Kai sword? Hearing the conversation between the two, Sun Goten became interested. But that interest isn't in the Supreme Kai sword. Because that thing can no longer exert its power in his own hands. And with his current strength, he doesn't need any weapons. What interests him is the old Supreme Kai sealed in the Supreme Kai sword. Although old Supreme Kai is wretched and lacks strength, he has a superpower that no one else has. It is about being able to help others develop their potential in the body. Son Gohan in Dragon Balls is a typical representative. After the potential was developed, Son Gohan directly turned into a mysterious Gohan, pressing Majin Buu on the ground and rubbing wildly. That alone is enough to demonstrate just how powerful the old Supreme Kai's superpowers are. Now that I have fusion passed on my bloodline, if my potential can be developed by the old Supreme Kai, then my basic strength will definitely be improved qualitatively. In the future, even if you meet a strong person at the level of gods of destruction, you will still have the power to fight. It seems that developing potential is something that must be done. And right now in the Supreme Kai world, it's a great opportunity. Mr. Goten, please follow me. Supreme Kai said respectfully. Master Supreme Kai, just call me Goten from now on. After all, you guys are older than me by how many years? It's been calling me sir all the time, and I also feel a little bit unnatural. Son Goten to Supreme Kai Asen. To be honest, he always felt unnatural to be called Mr. And he was called that by an old monster who was older than himself. Okay, Goten. Supreme Kai quickly nodded with a look of emotion. Goten, who is so powerful, can be neither arrogant nor impetuous, and he doesn't have any heirs in front of them. You must know that ordinary children have this kind of power, and they have long ruled the universe with great fanfare, calling themselves the Emperor of the Universe. Son Goten's approach naturally moved him immensely. Then please come with me. Then, under the leadership of Supreme Kai Asen and Jebet, the three came to a very strange cylindrical mountain. Then the body jumped lightly, and instantly landed on the top of the mountain. And in the center of the mountain, there is a sword. Goten, this is the gift I want to give you, the Supreme Kai sword. This sword is very heavy, and Jebet and I can't move it at all. I think you must be fine. And with this sword, your strength will definitely become stronger. Supreme Kai Asen pointed to the Supreme Kai world inserted in the crack of the stone, and said. Yeah, then I'm curious. Son Goten smiled, then took hold of the hilt of Supreme Kai's sword. Tried it, it is really heavy. It's no wonder Son Gohan struggled so much to transform into a super race form in Dragon Balls. But now he has been fused with Xuanchao bloodline. Even the basic combat power has already surpassed Son Gohan, the Super Saiyan at that time. What's more, at that time, Son Gohan hadn't trained for 7 years, and in Vegeta's words, his body had already rusted. Then Son Goten's expression suddenly changed. With a strong hand, the whole mountain was shaken in an instant. Cracks also suddenly spread towards the surrounding area. Clang! In the next second, Son Goten easily pulled out the Supreme Kai sword amidst Supreme Kai Asen and Jebet's expression of seeing hell. Then hold the handle with one hand and play. And Supreme Kai's eyes are like copper bells, already a little suspicious of life. Is this their Supreme Kai sword? Why is it like a baby toy in the hands of Son Goten? Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Chapter 36. This thing is not very heavy. Son Goten held the Supreme Kai sword, waved it around a few times, and drew a few sword flowers, as if the Supreme Kai sword was as light as nothing in his hand. Forehead. It's because your strength is too strong. That's why you feel like this. Supreme Kai Asen said with an embarrassed face. Sure enough, there is no comparison between people. The Supreme Kai sword, which he and Jebet can't move a single bit, is so light in Goten's hand. It feels like a toy sword. This really made the two of them feel very ashamed. But there is no way. After all, the power possessed by Goten is far beyond their imagination. Is this thing hard? Son Goten flicked lightly with the middle finger of his left hand, and there was a crisp sound. The sound is really crisp and the material is nice. If it is placed on the Earth or other planets, it is indeed a very good baby. But now his strength is too strong. Naturally he won't take the Supreme Kai sword seriously. And from the beginning to the end, what he was interested in was only the old Supreme Kai sealed in the Supreme Kai sword. Of course, I'm pretty confident it can help you kill Majin Buu. But what you say is not proven. Let me test it for you. Supreme Kai said confidently. Then he raised his right hand lightly, and a huge metal cube appeared in his hand out of thin air. This is the hardest metal in the universe. Take this to test the hardness of Excalibur. Goten, take it. After speaking, Supreme Kai threw the metal cube directly at Son Goten very confidently. Jebet also looked confident. He believed that Excalibur could slice through the hardest metal in the universe with ease. Okay. Son Goten raised his mouth and nodded. He knew exactly how embarrassing the situation was going to be. Afterwards, enough power was sent directly towards the metal cube. Bang! Click! The sound of metal colliding and crisp breaking sounded almost simultaneously. Under the expectant eyes of Supreme Kai and Jabiter, the Excalibur snapped in the middle and split into two. And the metal square didn't show any traces. Huh! Supreme Kai Asen. Jabet. The two were directly deceived, and their eyes were once again as big as copper bells. The blinking look is a bit cute. God, the sword of the gods and gods is actually broken. Are you kidding me? Jebet mumbled to himself in disbelief. The strongest Supreme Kai sword in their minds was broken so easily. More importantly, the face slap came too fast and too loudly. Feel the burning pain on the face at this time. Just now I swore so hard, I didn't expect the Excalibur to be broken so easily. No. No way. That's a divine sword. Supreme Kai Asen is also in a daze. How can this happen? Just bragging about how powerful the Supreme Kai sword is. After less than a minute, it was directly folded into two sections. This is simply a large-scale face-slapping scene. Forehead. It doesn't seem as hard as you said. Son Goten looked at the broken sword in his hand in embarrassment, and said to the two. With this said, the faces of the two became even more rosy. So shameful, so embarrassing. Just when these two people are extremely embarrassed and don't know how to relieve this embarrassment. Son Goten looked directly behind the two of them. Because behind them, a stooped old man appeared. A pair of bubble eyes were more than half covered by loose eyelids, narrowed into a slit, but they still couldn't resist that wretched look. Bend over and hook your back. Put your hands behind your back. Wearing the same outfit as Supreme Kai. This old man was naturally the old Supreme Kai who had just been released from the God realm. As a time traveler, Son Goten is naturally very familiar. Supreme Kai Asen and Jebet also followed Son Goten's gaze. As soon as he turned his head, he saw a ghost-like thing. Ah! With an exclamation, both of them were taken aback, their hair stood on end. It's no wonder. After all, a ghost-like old man suddenly appeared behind them. And it didn't make any noise. It would be strange if it wasn't frightened. But what followed were question marks all over his face. Who is this old man? Why can it appear in the Supreme Kai world? What's more, the costume he wears is very similar to Supreme Kai. Ahem. The old Supreme Kai coughed twice in embarrassment. This old gentleman, may I ask? May I ask who you are? How did you appear in the God realm? After calming down the panic in his heart, Supreme Kai Asen also asked politely immediately. He has no other specialties, but he has a very good temper and is very polite to people. Me. I am you. Supreme Kai 15 generations ago. The old Supreme Kai said with a sullen expression on his face. But these two guys were able to release this divine sword from the seal by himself. It seems that this year's Supreme Kai is not too weak. Ha. Ah. Supreme Kai Asen and Jebet were shocked again. 15 generations. The former Supreme Kai. Apparently they were unbelievable. 15 generations ago, Supreme Kai, they had never heard of it. And how he suddenly appeared. The old Supreme Kai immediately became popular with the two. Said that he was sealed by a very powerful guy tens of millions of years ago. Of course, he did it because he was afraid of himself. Then I asked who pulled out the Supreme Kai sword. Master Ancestor. In fact, it was not me and Jebet that pulled up the Supreme Kai world, but Goten. Supreme Kai Asen said with some embarrassment. Unexpectedly, it would be Goten who rescued the ancestors from the Excalibur. This should be their duty to see Wang Shen. Cut. Trash. It's a human being who rescued me, what a disgrace to Supreme Kai. But forget it, I'm already out. Since that little human being can pull out the Excalibur, it looks like he has a lot of power. The old Supreme Kai first looked at Supreme Kai Asen and Jebet with contempt, and then looked at Son Goten. Those who can pull out the Supreme Kai sword will definitely not be too weak. You must know that you were sealed by that big man. If there is no strong power, it is absolutely impossible to pull out the Excalibur. It is even more impossible to break the Excalibur. Yes, Lord Ancestor, Goten is very powerful, much stronger than me and Jebet. He is the most powerful warrior in this universe. Supreme Kai Axon immediately proudly introduced. At least in his cognition, Son Goten is the most powerful existence. Even Majin Buu, the most feared, is not necessarily Goten's opponent. Cut. A frog in a well. The strongest warrior in the universe is no one else, much less a human being. The old Supreme Kai said dismissively. If it is said that the most powerful warrior in this universe, it is absolutely impossible to be anyone. It's the adult who is sleeping. He is the most powerful existence in the entire universe. No god or human being can compare with it. Not even 1/10,000th of his strength can reach. Chapter 37. Forehead. Supreme Kai Asen and Jebet were immediately speechless. Although they are very aware of the strength of Son Goten in their hearts. That kind of powerful strength is something they have never seen before. But now it was their ancestors who were standing in front of them and speaking, so naturally they did not dare to refute. Master Supreme Kai, may I have a few words with you, your ancestor, alone? At this time, Son Goten flashed and appeared directly in front of Supreme Kai and the others. Then he said to Supreme Kai. He had a purpose for releasing old Supreme Kai from Excalibur. Although this old man is wretched and lecherous, his strength is too weak. But his skill in helping others develop their potential is unique. Even gods of destruction Beerus has no such ability. So his purpose is naturally to let the old Supreme Kai help him develop his potential. In this way, when you meet those real strong people in the future, you will have the capital to stand upright and speak in front of them. Sure. But Goten, if the ancestor said something that made you unhappy, don't be angry. After all, the ancestors are already very old. Supreme Kai Asen nodded quickly, and then begged. He could feel that his ancestor had no strength, but his tone was too loud. If you offend Goten, with Goten's current ability, he can kill the ancestors in minutes. Don't worry, I'm not a devil. Son Goten smiled, nodded and said. Then Supreme Kai Asen and Jebet left. Hey human kid, just tell me if you have anything. Anyway, it was you who released me from the God realm. If you need any help, I will try my best to help you. After Supreme Kai and Jebet left, the old Supreme Kai spoke in a serious tone. The human kid in front of him must have some intentions to talk to himself alone. Then I'll just say it. I know that the old Supreme Kai has a very powerful superpower, which can help others develop their potential and greatly enhance the strength of those whose potential has been developed. So can I ask the old Supreme Kai to help me develop my potential? Son Goten also had a smile on his face and said in a very polite tone. Although he can use coercive means to let the old Supreme Kai help him develop his potential. But that's not his character. There is no need to rely on your own strength to force others to do things. Because there are many ways to solve problems, and threatening to solve things by force is actually the most inferior method. However, in this world where strength is paramount, sometimes one must speak with fists. What? Who are you? You actually know that I can help others develop their potential. After hearing Sun Goten's words, the old Supreme Kai showed a look of shock on his face. One must know that he has been sealed in the Excalibur for an unknown number of years. Even the current Supreme Kai doesn't know anything about him at all. But this little kid in front of him actually knows that he has the superpower to help others develop their potential. This is so strange. How on earth did he know? Listen to what I've been told. Sun Goten said perfunctorily. Impossible. In this universe, it is impossible for anyone to know about this. The old Supreme Kai immediately shook his head and said negatively. There are not many people who know these things. And those people are simply not accessible to a human being. Nothing is impossible. If I told you that the one who sealed you in the Excalibur told me, would you believe me? Sun Goten continued to fool around. Nani? A look of panic suddenly appeared on the old Supreme Kai's face. Those slightly squinted eyes widened in an instant, staring closely at Sun Goten. Seems like trying to see through Sun Goten. But unfortunately, Sun Goten always had a faint smile on his face, and he couldn't see anything else at all. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. You are just a human being, and you have no chance to get in touch with that adult. The old Supreme Kai watched for a long time, then shook his head like a rattle. That adult is an existence that not many people know about. Even the current Supreme Kai doesn't necessarily know the existence of that adult. Not to mention a mere human kid. But the little kid in front of him was so confident, which made him feel like he was lying. The one who sealed you is Gods of Destruction Beerus. What did you say that he sealed you up because he was afraid of you? I think he sealed you up because he was afraid that he would be implicated if you died, right? What mean thing do you think Beerus would do if he heard what you just bragged about? Sun Goten still had a faint smile on his face, and said in a flat tone. As a time traveler, he is naturally very clear about these things. At this time, the old Supreme Kai's complexion has become quite ugly. You actually, really know the existence of Master Beerus. The old Supreme Kai suddenly looked like a deflated ball, and his momentum softened. This is outrageous. This human child actually knew the existence of Lord Gods of Destruction Beerus. And from his tone, it seemed that he knew Lord Beerus and himself very well. Or even a symbiotic relationship between Supreme Kai and Gods of Destruction. What's more important now is that if Lord Beerus hears those bragging words he just said, it will be troublesome. Maybe countless planets will suffer again. And I will definitely be sealed into the Excalibur again. He had had enough of those days. So now, can you help me develop my potential? Looking at the dazed old Supreme Kai, Sun Goten asked again with a smile. The tone and look are so harmless to humans and animals. All right, I'll help you develop your potential. The old Supreme Kai stared at Sun Goten and could only nod in the end. He has no choice. And since this guy can become friends with the current Supreme Kai, it means that he should not be a bad guy. Even if it helps him improve his strength, it will not pose a threat to this universe. Then thank you, old Supreme Kai. Sun Goten nodded his thanks. The expected result. There are actually many ways to get the old Supreme Kai to agree to this matter. After simple preparation for a while, the old Supreme Kai began to help Sun Goten develop his potential. According to the judgment of the old Supreme Kai, Sun Goten's potential is very strong. It takes at least 5 days to develop the potential. But Sun Goten is in no rush right now. 5 days is no problem at all. It's just that in the underworld under the jurisdiction of King Yama, a shocking event happened at this time. Chapter 38. Because a large number of evil souls entered the underworld during this period, the soul cleaning device in the underworld began to overload. More and more evil energy has been washed from those evil souls. And guarding the soul cleaning device is a not very responsible spiritual brother. Just listen to high songs and dance high. As a result, the soul cleaning device exploded directly, and countless evil energies that had been cleaned from the evil souls spewed out. All got into the body of the spiritual brother. Therefore, the wave of evil thoughts was born. After the birth of the evil thought wave, a layer of enchantment was directly built in the underworld. It is impossible for outsiders to enter the underworld at all. But those who have died in the underworld can freely enter the real world. At this time, on the planet of the Great Realm King, a fighting competition similar to the number 1 Budokai in the world is being held. At this time, Son Goku, who was participating in the competition in the ring, and Son Gohan and Piccolo, who were watching the competition in the audience, suddenly felt a huge evil atmosphere. Son Goku and Vegeta in the ring also stopped suddenly. Did you feel it? Kakarot. A very powerful evil aura. It doesn't seem to be weaker than us at all. Vegeta turned his head and said to Son Goku. Well, I feel it too, Vegeta. It's really strong. I'm already a little excited. Son Goku nodded with excitement on his face. Having lived in the underworld for more than 8 years, he hadn't felt such a powerful aura for a long time. Even the most powerful warrior Rib Rice in the southern galaxy is very different from this breath. He even felt that even if he became Super Saiyan 3, he might not be able to defeat this evil aura. Of course, this was also the reason why he was extremely excited. It is a joy to meet such a powerful opponent in the underworld. After all, he hasn't continued to fight with all his strength for a long time. At this time, Son Gohan and Piccolo also felt the evil energy. It was too strong, too huge. So as long as the strength is a little bit stronger, and the perception is a little bit sharper, the warrior can feel the appearance of that evil aura. And this is because the Great Realm King naturally received a request for help from King Yama. Yan Luowang claimed that the underworld suffered an unprecedented disaster. Now he is trapped in the enchantment of the underworld, and he cannot use his authority of King Yama at all. Those evil fighters from hell have connected to the real world. Start wanton destruction of the real world. Goku, Vegeta, and Rib Rice and Gohan. I just received a request for help from King Yan Luo, saying that a very big disaster happened in the underworld. A super powerful evil guy has appeared, and now you should immediately help King Yama solve this crisis in the underworld. King Daikai spoke to Son Goku and the others very seriously. Because of the evil breath just now, he could also clearly feel it. Very powerful, not even weaker than super fighters like Son Goku. Uncle Yama, hemp, wrap it on me. Son Goku nodded immediately without hesitation. As long as there is a battle, as long as there is a strong opponent, he can't help being excited. This kind of battle is absolutely impossible to miss. Stop kidding Kakarot, that guy will definitely be defeated by lousy Vegeta. Vegeta clenched his fists with an extremely confident look on his face. Hey, I won't let you, Vegeta. Son Goku grinned and said to Vegeta without giving in. With such a formidable opponent, he must fight hard. These two guys haven't changed at all, they still like to compete so much. Piccolo looked at the two of them, shook his head helplessly and said. You must know that the enemy they are facing this time is very powerful. It can be perceived from the evil breath just now. But listening to these two guys, they obviously have no plans to join forces, but to use their own strength to deal with the next enemy. Okay, let's go to the underworld. If you go late, the situation in the underworld will be even worse. Great Realm King hurriedly spoke to Son Goku and Vegeta. Okay, everyone grab my shoulders, we'll go right away. After finishing speaking, Son Goku's index and middle fingers were placed between his eyebrows. Begin to perceive the breath of King Yama. It's just that King Yama's aura is very weak at this time. It seems that the situation is indeed very critical. Son Gohan and Piccolo also quickly jumped onto the ring. I am coming too. Rib Rice followed immediately. After all, his power is not weaker than Vegeta, and Son Gohan can help a little in the past too. Immediately afterwards, the bodies of the 5 people faltered for a while, and disappeared on the planet of the Great Realm King. When they appeared again, the 5 of them had already arrived in the underworld. Just seeing the huge colorful candies all over the sky. And King Yan Luo's palace has been completely wrapped up by a powerful barrier. Let's fight together, break the barrier and rescue Uncle Yama. Looking at King Yama trapped in the barrier, Son Goku immediately spoke. Then he folded his hands together and made a signature Kamehameha wave. Son Gohan and Piccolo also immediately came up with their own big moves. Same goes for Vegeta and Rib Rice. Kamehameha wave. Ultimate flash. Magic penetration light killing cannon. Super energy bomb. The 5 people took out their most powerful attack methods at the same time. It's just that when these energies hit the barrier, there were only slight ripples. Soon those energies were all absorbed by the enchantment. What's going on? Our attacks seem to be completely useless against this thing. Vegeta frowned, and said with a bit of solemn tone. You must know that the simultaneous attack energy of the 5 of them is very powerful. It didn't cause any damage to the enchantment in front of me, which is really outrageous. Our energy has been absorbed by the barrier. It doesn't look like it's working. Piccolo saw it right away. All their energy just now was absorbed by the barrier. If this continues, they will not be able to break the enchantment at all. Goku. The culprit of all this is on the roof. Only after getting rid of that guy, the barrier will disappear and the underworld will return to its original appearance. At this time, King Yama's weak voice also sounded. Roof. Everyone quickly jumped up and looked towards the roof. Then I saw a khaki-colored cutie. It looks dull and looks like a plasticine toy. Does this kind of stupid guy really have that much power? Let labor and capital Vegeta get rid of you in an instant. Looking at the dumb khaki cutie in front of him, the corner of Vegeta's mouth raised a confident arc. He pointed to the tip of his nose with his thumb. Generally, Vegeta will turn into a speed party tragedy tower within 10 seconds if he makes this kind of action. Then, regardless of other people's objections, he jumped out and punched Xie Nianbo directly. Evil thought wave, evil thought wave. Xie Nianbo clapped his hands, and the moment he saw Vegeta rushing over, his eyes suddenly changed. He slapped it out with a direct slap. Snapped. Before Vegeta could react, he was slapped and sent flying. Then it hit the colored candy heavily. Everyone, don't underestimate the enemy, that guy is very powerful. Piccolo immediately opened his mouth to remind everyone. Being able to slap Vegeta into the air with a single slap shows the strength of this guy. It looks like it's going to be brought down to fight. Son Goten's expression is also rare and serious. Then the body flashed and appeared directly on the ground. And the wave of evil thoughts also followed. Chapter 39. The Battle of Hell will soon begin. And at this time in the Supreme Kai world, the old Supreme Kai has started to help Son Goten develop his potential. As time passed by every minute and every second, the old king's expression became more and more dignified. Because he can feel Son Goten's potential is very unfathomable, it feels like a bottomless abyss. He can't fully develop this potential at all. But now that Son Goten has been promised, let's try to bring out his potential as much as possible. Time passed day by day. 5 days passed in a blink of an eye. At this time, the old Supreme Kai was already sweating profusely. In the end, I couldn't hold on anymore and sat down on the ground. This kind of performance seems to be completely different from when he helped Son Gohan develop his potential. Because when he helped Son Gohan develop his potential, after the potential was developed, the old Supreme Kai was still alive and well. In the end, I still don't forget the skin all at once. But now he looked haggard, as if he had lost a lot of energy. Son Goten, potential development is complete. The potential you have is unfathomable, but with my ability, I can't help you guide it all out. The old Supreme Kai told Son Goten truthfully with a haggard face. Seeing the old Supreme Kai with an ugly face, Supreme Kai and Jebet also hurried forward to help. Son Goten also slowly opened his eyes. Then he looked at the old Supreme Kai and said, "It's okay, thank you, Lord Supreme Kai." Then he stood up and felt the strength in his body. It was indeed much scarier than before. Once again a qualitative improvement has occurred. This time, the basic combat power was improved. This also means that after his transformation, his strength will become even more outrageous. Now he is more confident that he can easily kill Majin Buu after he becomes Xuanchao again. Even if his strength is increased by 10 times, it is absolutely impossible to be his opponent. Goten, try your current strength. Just let me have a look. After a brief rest, the old Supreme Kai said to Son Goten. This kid has such unfathomable potential. I don't know how strong he is now after developing his potential. To tell the truth, he would love to see it. Forehead. Master Ancestor, why don't you just forget about it? Supreme Kai Asen's face froze instantly, and he quickly spoke to dissuade him. A few days ago, After Goten's transformation, the Excalibur was devastated, and the two of them just finished repairing it in the past 2 days. Now that Goten's potential has been developed, his strength must be even stronger. At that time, maybe the entire God realm can be completely destroyed by just the breath. Aha. Jebet also kept nodding like a chicken pecking at rice. The fear from before still lingers in my heart. Cut. Look at the two of you who have never seen the big world. Goten, ignore them, let me see your strength. The old Supreme Kai glared at Supreme Kai and Jebiter with contempt, and then continued to talk to Son Goten. Okay. Son Goten also had no choice but to nod. Then his face instantly became serious. Seeing Son Goten's serious expression, Supreme Kai Asingebit hurriedly drove the old Supreme Kai thousands of miles away. While clenching his fists, a simultaneous white experience erupted from his body instantly. Haha. After a roar, the entire God realm began to tremble again. The movement this time seems to be more terrifying than the last time when he became the legendary Super Saiyan. But it was not as exciting as last time, so Son Goten was able to control his power perfectly. After simply feeling his current basic combat power, Son Goten immediately withdrew his breath. But even so, the God realm was still shattered and dilapidated. Supreme Kai and Jebet wanted to cry but had no tears. Looks like I'll be busy for a few more days. The old Supreme Kai blinked his eyes, completely dumbfounded. The power of Son Goten just now is indeed too strong, unprecedentedly strong. The worries and fears of those two boys just now are understandable now. Haha. Sorry, I made God realm like this again. Son Goten scratched his head and said with an embarrassed smile. And just now he simply raised his breath and sensed his own strength. Didn't quite push the power to the limit. Otherwise, it is estimated that the God realm will be destroyed even more horribly. Ah, it's okay, it's okay. Anyway, Jebet and I don't have much to do. Supreme Kai Asin could only say helplessly. No way, who made the ancestors insist on seeing Goten's strength? And he could feel that Goten had been merciful just now, and he didn't release all his strength. Because there is no transformation at all. Beep beep. And at this moment, the crystal ball placed on the table not far away suddenly flickered. Supreme Kai Asin hurried over. It's a video call from the Great Realm King. Then Supreme Kai quickly connected the call. Great Realm King, what do you want from me? Supreme Kai asked directly. Master Supreme Kai, something terrible has happened in the underworld. Just a few days ago, a monster made of countless evil thoughts appeared, and his strength is outrageous. All the fighters on our side are no match for him, so I want to ask for help. The Great Realm King also spoke directly. Because the current situation is far beyond their control. Goku and Pork Ribs teamed up, and they were no match for Xie Nianbo at all. And even if Goku becomes the form of Super Saiyan 3, he will be easily defeated by the evil wave. When there was nothing to do, King Kai suddenly recommended someone. That person is Son Goten, the second son of Son Goku. It is said that he has a stronger power than Son Goku, and may be able to deal with evil thoughts. Because Son Goten followed Supreme Kai before, so now he comes to ask. You must know that if the evil wave cannot be resolved, it will completely disrupt the order of the underworld. At that time, the whole world will be in chaos. The souls of dead people cannot enter the underworld, and will wander around in the human world at that time. This kind of thing is scary to think about. How could this happen? Son Goku. This name sounds so familiar. Supreme Kai wondered for a while, then suddenly remembered that the name was very similar to Goten. Then he looked at Son Goten. Asked. Goten, Mr. Goku just mentioned by the king of the great realm. Son Goku is my father who died 8 years ago. Son Goten replied. Whether he admits it or not, it is true that Son Goku is Son Goten's father. No one can change this fact. So, that's how it is. Supreme Kai suddenly realized. Sir Supreme Kai, according to what King Kai said just now, the Son Goten beside you has superpowers. Perhaps he is the only one who can stop the wave of evil thoughts. So I hope he can lend a helping hand to solve this crisis in the underworld. After the Great Realm King heard the chat between Supreme Kai and Son Goten, he said straight to the point again. Because they really can't help it. In the underworld, the most powerful is Goku. Even Goku would be easily defeated by Xie Nianbo. The underworld and their realm kings are completely unable to deal with Xie Nianbo. Chapter 40. Is that so? It seems that the matter is indeed serious, but I have to discuss this matter with Goten, and I can't make the decision. Supreme Kai didn't decide for himself because he knew he couldn't be the master of Sun Goten. If you decide on your own, and Goten is unwilling at that time, it may cause unnecessary trouble. And it's disrespectful to Goten. Goten, you heard what the great Kai said just now. Perhaps you are the only one who can deal with that wave of evil thoughts. I don't know what you think. Afterwards, Supreme Kai looked at Sun Goten and asked. If he followed his thinking, he naturally wanted Goten to deal with that evil thought wave. Because in this way, it is possible to avoid causing the loss of life. After all, when creatures from the underworld enter the real world, it will definitely cause a series of panics. Then the world will be in chaos. Sorry, I can't help you with this matter. The real world and the underworld are two completely different worlds, and we should follow the laws of natural development. This is what my father and the others said before. The earth was also in extreme danger at that time, but they did not choose to resurrect to protect the earth. In their words, it is necessary to follow the law of natural development. There is no need for the dead to continue to be resurrected, so there is no need for the living to interfere with the affairs of the underworld. Of course, this is my personal opinion. If you want to help, that's your business. After all, you are gods, and these things are under your control. Sun Goten replied in a flat tone. Although he does not reject fighting evil thoughts. Maybe you can even pick up Xie Nianbo's various superpowers by fighting Xie Nianbo. But before Son Goku they said, should follow the law of natural development. Then people in the real world naturally don't need to go to the underworld to solve the crisis for them. Maybe he still has some grudges about what happened a few years ago. After all, the Earth a few years ago was indeed very dangerous. Once Cell returns to Earth, it will be the end of Earth. At that time, he could only be killed by Cell. Fortunately, Cell has not appeared in the past few years. But Sun Goten is not relieved. Of course, Chi-Chi and Bulma are also included. They still can't understand the thoughts of Son Goku and Vegeta at that time. Obviously they could use the Dragon Ball to resurrect and protect the Earth, but they still decided to let the situation develop naturally. This. After hearing Sun Goten's cold tone, Supreme Kai was also at a loss for words. Unexpectedly, Goten refused so simply. But with the strength of him and Jebet, I'm afraid they can't solve the problem of the underworld at all. Great Kai, Goten can't help you with this matter. So you guys first think of a way to stabilize that wave of evil thoughts, and I will also think of a way here. Supreme Kai could only reply awkwardly. Although he is a distinguished Supreme Kai. But after all, his strength is limited, and some things are simply not what he can do. Alright, Master Supreme Kai. The Great Realm King could only interrupt the call. It seems that if you want to get rid of the evil thoughts, you still have to rely on Goku and Ribs. After hanging up the video call, Supreme Kai Asen immediately began to use the magic crystal ball to watch what happened in the underworld. And at this time in the hell of the underworld. The sky is full of giant colorful candies. The figures of Son Goku and Vegeta soon appeared in sight. At this time, the 5 people were covered with scars. After several days of wheel tactics, not only did Xie Nianbo not consume any of his physical energy. Instead, they fell into a very passive situation. And this is why Xie Nianbo didn't want to get rid of them, maybe that guy wanted to play. That's why they weren't killed. Goku, Son Goten has denied my request. He just said that people in the real world should not interfere in the affairs of the underworld, and should let the people in the underworld solve it by themselves and follow the laws of natural development. I'm really sorry, we can't help at all, now we can only rely on you to deal with Xie Nianbo. The voice of the Great Realm King quickly rang in Son Goku's mind. Son Goku and Vegeta frowned suddenly. They are all aware of Goten's strength. With his help, the wave of evil thoughts in front of them may be able to be eliminated. But unexpectedly Goten refused. Can Goten resist fighting such a powerful opponent? Son Goku was a little surprised. After all, Saiyan is warlike by nature. Goten has the blood of Saiyan, and naturally has a warlike nature. Unexpectedly, such a powerful opponent, Goten has no interest. Idiot, Kakarot, can't you hear that kid Son Goten's words are very familiar? That's what we said to Bulma and the others 8 years ago. That little brat is obviously brooding over our refusal to be resurrected. Smelly brat. Vegeta immediately cursed at Son Goku. Because he was too clear about the sentence that the eldest sister relayed just now. This is what they said to Bulma and Chi-Chi 8 years ago when they were about to revive them with the Dragon Ball. I didn't expect Goten, a brat, to hold grudges like this. Ah, did we ever say that? I forgot. Son Goku scratched the back of his head. Apparently he didn't remember saying something like that 8 years ago. It does appear to be so. Goten and Gohan have completely different personalities. Now it seems that Xie Nianbo can only be solved by ourselves. Piccolo also nodded and said, although Goten is also very kind in nature. But his kindness is completely different from Gohan's. Clearly, Goten is a man who likes to hold a grudge. Since this is the case, there is only one way. Create a super soldier by using the fusion request of the Metamo star. Son Goku's expression became serious in an instant. With the strength of a few of them alone, even if they join forces, they will definitely not be able to defeat Xie Nianbo. But through the fusion method of the Metamor stars, a super soldier can be created. At that time, Xie Nianbo can definitely be easily killed. And he and Vegeta are the most suitable candidates for fusion. Nani? Fusion. Hearing the word fusion, Vegeta's face suddenly changed. Then showed a repulsive look. It is absolutely impossible for the majestic Saiyan Prince, the proud warrior, to agree to such a thing as fusion. Vegeta, the fusion between the two of us works best. Son Goku said to Vegeta very seriously. Because they know each other very well. Vegeta's understanding of himself completely surpassed Gohan's. So Vegeta is the best candidate for fusion. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.